close to the mic. Hey guys, welcome. We are here on the Vinyl Rundown channel with a special guest this week, Emiko from The Show, also known as the Home Entertainment Show, also known on social media as That Hi-Fi Girl. Welcome.
Thank you. Hi.
So we're going to be talking about the upcoming home entertainment show that's coming to Long Beach, California. That's going to be, why don't I change the bottom there because we're live, aren't we? The home entertainment show, I've got the banner up to remind me that that's in Long Beach, south of Los Angeles, June 10th through 12th. And this is going to be a big event and the first real big event that they've had since the COVID lockdown. And so, Emiko, let's just talk about, first of all, how did you get involved with this group? And tell us a little bit about the group besides, is the show all they do? What are they about and how did you get into them?
Okay, so historically, I come from the pro audio side as a recording artist and composer and touring artist. And I had just finished a national tour and some folks that I was working with on the pro side called me up and said, hey, listen, there's this audio show that is looking for somebody to come in and do sort of media hosting, sort of little social media, like things that you do. And I said, oh, okay, sounds like fun. They said, it's a few months, this, that, and the other. I said, okay. So, and I didn't entirely understand. They did a fairly poor job of explaining it to me. But what I did understand was that it was about hi-fi, and I love hi-fi. I just finished touring. We did, 27 states in 30 days. I mean, it was intense, this national tour that we did. I was exhausted. I didn't want to go anywhere for a little while. So I thought, great, Southern California. Perfect. That's where I'll stay.
What kind of group were you touring with, by the way?
Oh, my own.
And you play keyboards, you sing, you're a singer-songwriter.
Yeah, right.
And we'll talk more about that in a bit if you want.
Sure.
So, and I didn't really give you a proper introduction because you do so many things. I can't really wrap my head around it. You are a singer-songwriter, musician. You have some background in pro audio, hi-fi.
Yep.
Now a filmmaker, because you now have an award-winning film that was put out a couple years ago.
Yeah.
I think I was at the premiere of that, if the premiere at the Long Beach show was
right.
The official premiere. So that was great.
Yes.
And then you are the spokesperson, ambassador of goodwill for the home entertainment show. So I'm sorry, I'm backing up to give you the introduction in the middle of your explanation of how you got involved with these people.
It's all good. It's all good. So I came on board to do that the first year because this was their first year back. I guess the show had an unfortunate cancellation in 2017. There were two very unfortunate passings of people, including, of course, our beloved Richard Beers. And so 2017 just couldn't happen. 2018, they wanted to revamp. Maurice Young, who's the president of the show, who's incredibly forward-thinking, really progressive, very, what's the word I'm looking for? Idea forward when it comes to audio, when it comes to hi-fi. And so he said, let's shake things up. This is an opportunity. Let's use this as a chance to celebrate something new and go forward in that. And so they brought me on. And then the next thing I knew, I was director of marketing. And then late last year, early this year, I can't remember, I got made senior vice president of the show. So all very, and the show, we have our Long Beach show, June 10th through 12th, as you said, at the Hilton Long Beach. And we have expanded into the Denver and the Nashville markets as well. Denver's going to be in October. Nashville is, we're not saying yet, but we do have that all set up. And each show that we do is going to be slightly different. So the Long Beach show, which is in June, is our classic 2-channel audio show, right? That's the thing that we all know and love.
Two channels, just two channels.
Just two. No more than two, only two. If you have more than two, wait outside. Just kidding, of course.
But this is the first time you're going into other cities, as far as I know.
This is the first time that we're doing a multiple network, right? The show has lived in various other cities, but it's always only ever been once a year. Sorry, guys, this is my background because I'm not at my house in LA right now.
Okay.
So
you
my finger disappears.
Anyway.
That's why.
People think they're on drugs or something. That's
okay. I know. Right. How does she do that? So this is the first time that we're actually going to be doing sort of a circuit. Which is really great because we love Denver, we love Nashville. Each show has its own character to it. So the Long Beach show, like I said, is our traditional hi-fi audio show, high-end audio, vintage, vinyl, digital streaming, 2-channel, the whole thing. Somebody's going to say, what about surround and spatial audio? Yes, we're doing that too. So there you go. We've got it covered. Denver, we're going to have that component there. Absolutely. There's going to be a lot of wonderful exhibitors, but we're also, Denver's going to be a little bit more tech-based, gaming-based, things that provide multiple entry points for people who are not otherwise familiar with how hi-fi can be better integrated into their lives. And so the idea of that is not necessarily exclusively to diversify, but it's to bring people together and say, look, if you're a gamer and you also love music, go check this. Here's your gaming expo. Here's the hi-fi expo. Like you're related and you don't even know it. And so there's a very 23andMe aspect about it, which is to show people the common thread and how these things can integrate positively into one's life and elevate their overall experience. So that's the Denver show. Then the Nashville show comes back home for me because it has a pro audio music creator recording studio centered theme to it. Of course, we're carrying on with the hi-fi and the high-end audio as we are. That's our common thread. But that show is really going to be more about understanding how the music is made that we all listen to on the systems that we love so much and that we care for so much. And so the idea is to tie a holistic experience together so that if you were to travel and go to all three shows, which we hope that you do, you would have a unique experience at each one, but that there would be a building block, one on top of the other on the other. And then you would have this great, very wholesome experience at the end of it.
So this is interesting. So it's not all three shows in 1 year in 3 places.
It will be. It's just that when we announced it, we have to push Nashville out to 23 because obviously October is Denver. That's set in stone.
So you are trying to do 3 in a year-ish time.
There will be, yes.
And
it's just that
a
this
slightly
year was
different slant for each one. Nashville, which maybe now is the home of the music business. So it was Los Angeles a long time ago.
Right. And before that, it was New York.
When we were kids, but that's the way it is now. So that's interesting. So pro audio, more geared towards studio people and all that sort of stuff. And
well, the key here is this is a great opportunity to talk about what we're gearing towards. And the idea is not that we're gearing towards. The idea is we want to bring together, because there's a lot of studio producers and engineers that use hi-fi, audiophile gear components in their rigs. And there's a lot of audiophiles that prefer to listen on near field reference monitors, or they want to use studio grade amplifiers and studio grade cables and so on and so forth. And so from that perspective, it's to showcase the relatability for everyone, so that those artificial walls and those weird lines that have been drawn in the sand that I see on the forums when I troll them late at night, those can be broken down little by little, because we are all here for the same reason.
It's all about the music. I just coined that phrase.
Yeah.
But
I got that memo recently that it's all about the music. Surprise.
But I agree. It is the whole world is too siloed. Okay. My channel is called Vinyl Rundown because vinyl records, but that really doesn't define me. I've got thousands of CDs. I stream on 2 or 3 different platforms. I play instruments. in this room, I've got saxophones, basses, guitars,
Nice.
keyboards, most of which are my son's, not mine. But I kind of, the point is music is more of a holistic experience, and there's a zillion ways to make it, to listen to it, to enjoy it.
Right.
And that's, to me, kind of one of the main themes of going and attending these shows. Do you have live music at any of these? Because that's been sort of sometimes yes and no.
Right. We will. Nashville's going to be a huge thing for live music because obviously there's a lot of artists that are down there. Plus, there are recording studios. We have we're arranging VIP tours of the recording studios, very much like the Capitol Records X Marks the Spot event that you were at. With people can go in and see recording sessions, they can participate, so on and so forth. It's a very different character. Denver's going to have some really cool stuff because Denver's a big music town. I think people don't give it enough credit, and I spent a significant amount of time there recording, and they've got some just really great artists in Denver. So there's going to be live music there. The show in Long Beach, we have live music on and off, depending on the year, depending on what's going on. So live
this year.
Oh, this year. Sorry.
Any big, any giant,
I was like,
any artists that we should, or concert events we should be keeping our eyes out for?
I'm not allowed to say yet.
Okay.
What I can say is that there is an author that's coming, Andre Darlington, who is the acclaimed author of the books Booze and Vinyl and Booze and Vinyl Volume 2. Really cool books to use to listen to your vinyl albums, craft cocktails, the whole relax, delve into it. It's just a wonderful, wonderful experience. He'll be there doing special mixology sessions for us on Friday and Saturday. And then we actually have a pool party on Saturday night. Just think about a few hundred audiophiles at a pool party.
Yeah, I know the hotel has a nice pool area.
Yes.
But when I think of audiophiles, this is when we take it to another direction. Demographics. Okay, we have to get to this point. So the demographics of a lot of these shows, and when you say the word audiophile, you have a lot of male dominated, older dominated. I would say old boys club, but it's almost an old men's club, which I'm soon becoming a part of. So bringing you in, I think, was a move on their part to younger blood, female, etc. I think you would agree. I mean, that you're talented because you do what you do, but the face of the group is like, is there a need for a change? Are they making any waves to bring it really younger people is kind of the point I'm trying to make here.
Right. So it's funny that you mentioned that. I also work with Acoustics, who is presenting our Headphonium at the show, so I can talk about this. We just did a video. I do their video series for them, and the latest video that we put out was called "Is the Word Audiophile a Branding Fail?"
Right.
And
I watched that the other day.
Everybody and their brother has been writing to me, either sending me tremendously charged hate mail, or they're sending me really complimentary, wow, you read my mind, I can't believe this is so great. So it's very divided in that sense. I firmly believe, and this is not just my position as SVP of the show, this is just from all the people that I've met and the people that I've connected with as myself in the industry, there's room for everybody. And the key is communication. And the key is to understand that you may not like or love or agree with or understand what someone else's audio choices are. But guess what? That's okay. Because if you don't like their system, you don't have to listen to it. And if you do, go hang out with them and find out, and they'll do the same for you. And so there is this weird cavernous gap that needs to be bridged. And I don't say it needs to be filled or replaced or blown up or some of the other terms that I think people use when they talk about this. There's a faction of the audiophile community that is very crotchety and curmudgeony, and they stay up late on the Facebook forums, and they really have given audiophilia as a whole a very bad name. But But before anybody
I won't
sends
admit to being one of those people.
me neither. Before sending me any hate mail, let me just say this. There's a countless number of people who are equally as inclusive and positive and encouraging that are out there spreading the good word of hi-fi and audio, and are trying so hard to get other people involved. And some of it is I think some of it really is a marketing thing. Like the audio industry as a whole has been slightly hampered by the reputation that it's garnered, whether that's legitimately or not. But there are a lot of people. I mean, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, you name it, I'm there. And I can tell you my audiophile friends on Instagram and TikTok are completely different than my friends on Facebook. And we have completely different conversations.
I would agree.
It's a big
Point
big
that you mentioned a minute ago, though, older, crotchetier. To me, there's I almost lost my train of thought here. There's engineers and engineer types who have a difficulty relating to us normal people. I say that with love from engineers because they think at a higher level than all of us, but they don't necessarily want to talk to us at a level we understand. And a lot of these audio companies are run by engineers, and marketing is not their thing. So if they welcome other people to help them with that and broaden, that's great. The other thing you mentioned was sort of the gap. And to me, the gap is how many people in America love music? And 98% raise their hand.
Yes.
How many people in America have ever heard music through a good stereo? A lot of them will raise their hand, but they said, no, I didn't say, okay, how about a great stereo?
Right.
You've heard a good stereo. Have you heard a great stereo? Right. And can that be a life-changing experience? So to me, the audio world has not done a good job of communicating. Most people listening to music today are listening on these things,
right?
Which is okay if you're on a bus or a subway,
right? Or at the
riding
gym.
your bike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
But so many people have not heard what the potential of great sounding music is, and is there a way to get that message out? I mean, you guys are doing it one person at a time if they show up to the show, but how do we go out and get a giant hook and just drag people into audio rooms and shows? And to me, it's a very difficult task.
It's it is and it isn't. I mean, yes, I understand what you're saying, and I do see and hear the validity of that. But my experience on Instagram especially has been incredibly eye-opening in a positive way. And what we've seen is that there is a desire for it. There is a desire, but what's interesting is the type of desire is different. So the word audiophile in and of itself has now been adapted to mean something different for a different group of people, which I personally think is wonderful. I think the more we have in our industry, we have in our community, the better. The more, the merrier it is. But they're not necessarily people that are tech specs first, cables matter, no they don't, yes they don't, and then music at the bottom.
We're doing a 6-hour show on that topic.
right. Go sandwich and it's the people that are now being attracted to it. Let me put it this, the best way I can, folks that I come in with,
your audio
they sort of go
a little bit.
Can you hear me?
Hold for a second. You got a little bit pixely and your audio broke. So let's just wait for a second for it to buffer. You don't need to move near a hi-fi hotspot or hotspot or plug in or anything. Okay, it's better now.
Okay,
I don't know
great.
What happened there?
Okay.
Maybe your neighbors are playing games or something.
They are. I live next to two gamers, but anyway.
Netflixing.
Yes.
No Netflixing in. Anyway, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
It got cut off completely.
The folks that are coming across the show via social media, especially on Instagram, are people who the audiophiles now used to be 30, maybe even 40 years ago. Young, music hungry. I love vinyl. Can't really afford very much, but I want to learn. Have a broad taste in music. I think everything is cool. I just want to hang with my friends and listen to tunes. And then they join some of these groups and they're dressed down by the very people that used to be like that. But how soon we forget. And so what I see is a beautiful cyclical, almost coming home of this, in that people want to learn, they want to be part of this, they want to have this in their lives. And what a beautiful, wonderful thing that is. And I think it is important that the industry, especially, if not elder members of the community, then the industry has a responsibility, very much so, to embrace that and say, you're welcome here. We love you. Doesn't matter if you don't know anything. We're going to help you out. We're going to ask you questions. We're going to hear what you want. We're going to help point you in the right direction, and it's as simple as that. So,
well, I'm encouraged that some manufacturers are doing that, and I can't think of any ones that are not. But
yeah,
the design, the way audio design is changing now. Now we have sort of old school separate components, tubes, giant Type A amps, and there's people with small, compact, what do we call it, lifestyle audio, all in one box.
Right.
That can sound fantastic, but it's not going to impress the old school audiophile because it's just one or two boxes. So I don't know if you have any comments on the way the designs are changing to meet the changing demographic and the change in formats.
Well, I think that when you look at life in general, like, because I get a really nice advantage in that I have the same thing happen in pro audio. People were, at one point, we were all splicing tape and everything was one take Jake and you had to record around one microphone and the end. Then it became multi-track. Then it became, right, ADAT and DAT. Mini disc was hot for like a week and a half. And digital showed up. Now you have unlimited tracks. Now people are complaining about there's no real instruments and everything's auto-tuned and nobody can sing anyway, and what the heck, and this all sucks, and blah, 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 pardon my language. And now people are going back to tape again. Photography is the same thing, right? We had film cameras for a long time. Before that, it was daguerreotypes, then film cameras, and now we have digital, and now people are like, oh man, but I want to shoot on film again. This is a cycle. This is a cycle of development. This is a cycle of human evolution and learning and growth. And so it's natural for people who have seen this all before to be crotchety and upset and kind of like, you didn't listen to me the first time. What's wrong with you? I get it. But it's also okay for new people to be experiencing it for the first time. And I would just encourage all of us to whom this is older hat, right, to delight in the fact that other people are picking this up and having their first experience with it, and how wonderful it is that we can be there to share that with them. So in terms of design, I think that, yes, those things are happening, but by the same token, give it 10 years and we'll have another split where we have completely analog systems with giant tubes, and somebody's going to bring back the gramophone and the cylinder. Just watch it happen. And I mean, reel to reel is here. So believe me, it's not that far off. But then we're probably going to have something where Google's probably going to come up with something where you just point your finger in the air and then music appears out of nowhere. And so the divide is going to get bigger, but that's okay because that also means that we have variety. That's just my thought.
Yeah, we're bifurcating, is that the right word? Into so many different ways of listening.
Right.
I get up in the morning, I can say, Alexa, play me classical music, which when I'm showering, that's great to wake up to.
Sure.
And then I've got CDs, LPs. We just reinvigorated the cassettes, pulled hundreds of cassettes out of the garage.
Nice.
I've got 78s, I've got vinyl. But I'm different. Most people, the average person walking on the street is, I've got this. What do I need more equipment for? I've got this
Right.
and this.
Right.
And anyway, I don't want to beat that dead horse of how do you get these people to see the light, hear the light of what these great sound systems sound like. Um, I I try to bring in some of the younger people because I hang out in junk shops and thrift shops, and here's an old turntable. Let me get it to this young people. So I've done that a few times. I'm like, here's a turntable. Here's some records. Hook it up. Oh,
Right.
this is really cool.
Yeah.
So as you were saying before, if the older generation, which I guess I'm a part of, uh, doesn't spend the time to bring new people in and just kind of goes off and says, you know what, you kids suck today. Your music sucks. You know, that's
Well,
really easy
there's
to do. That's
yeah.
really easy to do.
Right.
And it's really, there's just different personalities out there, I guess.
I think there's also, I mean, I would like to point out, especially just being as involved in the industry as I am, there is, we'll use the word bifurcating because this is very appropriate. There is a bifurcation between high-end audio and hi-fi.
Uh-oh.
High-end audio is really where I think you get a lot of those folks that are kind of curmudgeon-y and like it has to be exacting. Hi-fi is a lifestyle integration. And so I feel like, and that's not to say that one is better than the other or one is wrong or right. That's not what we're talking about here. But it's just that hi-fi is something that I think when you think of hi-fi, you think of a hi-fi shop. You think of records, you think of band t-shirts and posters and all of these things that create a very involved 360 experience. When you think of high-end audio, you think of really nice speakers and systems and cable risers and then chairs set back just so, and don't put your coffee on the table without the coaster, but the coaster is going to affect the sonic frequency of the speakers because it has metal feet, and use the cork one instead. And so it's a whole thing.
You just described what I call audiophilia nervosa, because there's audiophiles,
right?
And then there's people that are okay.
Well, I mean,
the coaster group, the people.
The coaster group. We have a friend of ours in our audiophile circle that I'm in, who is constantly trying to come up with ways to, not fake out is the wrong word, but he likes to have a little fun with audio, like with seriously committed audiophiles. And he came up with something. He said, I invented a black, because he's an engineer. He said, I invented a black box that if you put this in the center of your room, it will change the way the sun comes through the window, which will affect your sound frequencies. And people started going for it. And I thought, oh, well, that's interesting. So
it might affect it, but it's not measurable. And I tell people that the quickest upgrade, forget all that stuff. Get out a Q-tip. That's the biggest. Clean out your earwax once a year. That's better than buying $1,000 cables. Seriously, this is where it happens right here. Here, this room, the drapes, the windows, the carpets. Anyway, we could go. I interrupted you again.
No,
the guy with the black box. So how much can I buy one for? First of all. And does it come in different colors?
I don't know. I just thought it was hysterical that he came up with this thing. And I was like, really? You're doing this? And it was some ridiculous, like, black little metal. I mean, there was nothing in it, right? It was just a ridiculous thing. But what it did show was how, on the negative side, yes, it showed all the sort of the high-strung attitude. But on the positive side, it showed how committed people are and how hungry they are to learn and to experience something new. And so I always try to take it. I do a fair amount of offering perspectives on both sides, but generally speaking, I find hi-fi to be a really happy place. And so with that said, I like to focus on the positive side of it, which is they're hungry for something new. They want to learn something that they didn't have an experience with before. And you can't fault them for that. I think that's really nice because they didn't turn their nose up and go, oh, what do you know?
Well, we need more people with that attitude, and so I think that's why we're happy to have people like you around, because I go negative on some of those people, um, when it's a waste of brain resources, when
Hmm.
instead of just arguing with somebody on Facebook, I could just go listen to a record. That would
Yeah.
probably. So that's a whole mental thing that some of us audiophiles and people that are deep in music have that personality. But let's not dwell on that. So uh, where else should we go with this conversation? What other things are there? Things that are new and different at the show this year that are going to be any new directions or new types of things that you guys are doing, or surprises that you can tell us about?
We have a lot. We have over 100, and it looks like we have over 120 exhibitors. I just redid the list this morning.
Mm-hmm.
We're sold through the 5th floor, which is wonderful, because last year we had the distinct honor and responsibility and the most stressful 72 hours of my entire life. We were the first show in the country and the first show in North America to reopen, and Governor Newsom had not yet officially reopened the state of California. So
Mm-hmm.
we had a dispensation from the health department to do this, and we worked
Mm.
very closely to make sure social distancing, masking. We kept it to 3 floors. We were not even partway sold through all the rooms. I mean, we did everything we could to just have a show, give folks something to look forward to. But every person that came through that line, I was like, are you a health inspector? Are you a health inspector? Are you a health inspector? Like, I didn't sleep for 3 days because of that. But this year we're sold through the 5th floor. The Headphonium is brand new. That's our personal and portable audio section. We've got a great section within the Headphonium called the Acoustics Experience. We're doing a lot more with our ambassadors this year. We've got some brand new seminars that are coming in, including stuff about vinyl remastering. And we're having our very first town hall meeting where we give audiophiles and attendees a chance to voice what they would like to see, not just at our show, but in the industry at large, in the community. We're giving the community a voice, a chance to speak up, a chance to be heard, because our attendees matter. They matter to us. We want everybody to be happy. And then there's a lot of new stuff that's happening. We've got a bunch of new brands that are coming in. We have a few bespoke, brand new designers who are exhibiting prototypes. Some are on pre-order, some are not, that are hand making speakers that are just getting started, but I've heard their components. They sound amazing. We want to give them a chance. And
that's great. I wonder if you, not that I need to know, but a break as a first year or a first timer, because to get those new people in there, I think is fantastic. And it's not the same companies. A lot of companies we love, but
yes,
new people,
absolutely.
Especially people that are trying something new.
Yeah.
And have not been heard. And okay, I'm building this in my garage. I can't afford $1 zillion to show up the show. So those are some of the people I would love to interview and be on the show.
They're around.
Talk about that later.
Yeah, absolutely.
One of the first interviews I did was Clark Blumenstein. Is that his name? Who does these amazing high efficiency single driver speakers that he makes himself.
Oh, cool.
Brilliant guy. All tubes.
Nice.
And a craftsman who just creates their own stuff without having to deal with a lot of corporate, all that stuff.
Right.
So that's one of the things. That's one of the things that's great about the high end world, because you mentioned hi-fi versus high end.
Yeah.
And to most people, a hi-fi shop, okay, Circuit City, you can go in and buy. I won't name the brands, but those brands that are kind of ubiquitous. But when you get into the high-end world, and you can go to a show like at your show, and it's a small company, and I've gone into these rooms where I'm meeting with and talking to the person who designed the thing,
right? Yes.
Who created it in their garage, who can talk about the philosophy of why they designed it this way versus that way. And those are actually some of my most memorable experiences of going to these shows, is getting to you're not just listening to stuff, which you can do, which is one part of it, but you get to meet the people who create the stuff and who live the stuff
Right.
and whose whole life is devoted to this stuff. And I've met, you know, many of the manufacturers who created these companies and who are legends. And I think that's one of my favorite experiences. Are any of those people, any names you can drop, or maybe it's not appropriate, but any of those legends of audio that maybe you can mention, or I can mention ones that I've met in the past? It's up to you. I know you have to be very careful about.
I'm pulling up.
If you're nice to one person, you have to be nice to all 150.
Basically, yes.
We could read the whole list now if you want.
The list is going to be posted on our website later today, because I just literally right before I hopped on the link, I had sent our webmaster the final list. I said, here, if I forgot anybody, I'm going to have to send you another version, but here you go. There's quite a few folks that are coming that are wonderful. And then some of the folks that aren't coming to Long Beach are already confirmed for Denver, which is wonderful as well. This year we have a lot of new. I love it. I mean, you know, I enjoy seeing my friends regularly, annually, but it's interesting because when we announced Denver, they all said, "Oh, we'll be there for that. Here's our money." And I went, "Oh, okay. I guess a change is as good as a rest then." Fantastic. So, and that's the other thing that's really that we want to sort of encourage people to start contending with, is the idea is just because something's not going to be at Long Beach doesn't mean you're not going to see it at the show. You might see it at the Denver or the Nashville, might not be at the Long Beach, and vice versa, right? So we're encouraging everybody, keep an open mind, because we're really doing something that I think is less, I think is a bit less traditional than how audio shows have been run in the past. And we love our brothers and sisters in the audio show industry. Everybody puts on a great show, but we thought, you know, we want to do something a little different, just because why not? And so we're spreading out where our industry giants and our living legends are going. Some of that is by choice and some of that is by their choice, and that's fine. So I won't say names specifically. All I'll say is if you check on our website, probably in the next couple of hours, it'll be there.
Okay, we will take a look at that. So let's change the. Okay, I got a question here from the audience. Which one are you showing up in? Well, Greg would go to Long Beach because I live in LA, and you'll probably be in all of them.
I have to be in all of them. Right. It would be weird if I wasn't there. Yeah, that's right.
So NY Grasshopper, maybe he's in New York. I don't know this person. Some of the people commenting I know, but Mr. Grasshopper, I don't know if they're coming to the East Coast, but you'll have to fly on out to LA, Denver, and Nashville.
Well, I'll say this. As far as I know about NY Grasshopper, it's not a Mr., it's a Ms.
You know this person. There I go doing it again. I'm sorry.
No. But isn't that interesting that it goes to show that audio has historically been a male-dominated thing, and so we default to the Mr. And it's so wonderful when we get people that, you know,
so maybe you know this person. That's
don't
good.
use the Mr.
I'm sorry.
No, don't be.
Even if it isn't, if whether I know or not, I should be.
Well, that's a wonderful moment to say, look at how deep-seated that default position is, right? Like we just do it. I do it too.
I'm having guilt now.
Don't have guilt. Don't have guilt.
I'll get over it.
The idea is not to call you out. The idea is to say how wonderful it is that we are treading heavily on the path of inclusion. And that's awesome.
That is great. I wonder how much the dial is moving. If we're getting from 97% to 94% or whatever, it's going to take a while.
It will take a while, but we're getting there.
Yeah.
We're getting there.
Of the people that I've given turntables to in the last 10 years, female with a husband. So that's 4 out of 5 female. So I'm doing my part to get those turntables in the hands of the young folks. Good. Not that I deserve any credit for that, but we have audio people in our house, and
Mhm.
this giant record rack behind me. Half of these records are my wife's, and half of them are mine,
I love it. I'm
side
so
by
jealous
side.
of that. That's
And
beautiful.
we met at a record store, and so we've
Oh,
been together since working at a record store. We both worked at a record store,
wow.
and she gets to play vinyl a lot, and I do almost as much when I'm home. So, but we don't like the same things. That's okay. That's okay.
That's okay. Right.
We did a
Exactly.
long time ago, and
Right.
more bifurcation. So, I think maybe we changed the topic a little bit from the show, and we didn't really get enough into your biography. Not that we need to go back to the beginning, but your work in music nowadays. You
Mm.
have records out,
Mhm.
you have film, you have composing for maybe a show or a movie. Tell us what some
Yeah.
of the great stuff is that you've been working on lately.
Um, I well, most recently, I don't even know where to start.
I'm sorry, a good
I
interview
don't
would
even know
know.
where to start. I don't even know where to start. Right. I actually have another record that I'm starting production on in July.
Hmm.
The last record that came out was called LA After the War, which I'm really proud of because that went on to do a bunch of really great radio chart positions in Europe, and it ended up some of the songs ended up getting licensed for film and TV. And then there was a
Wow.
single in between that and now. We were asked to do a cover of David Bowie's Heroes, and I got a chance to co-create that with Grammy Award-winning producer Mike Exeter, who works with Black Sabbath and Judas Priest and a bunch of other big names. And so that came out. It was a lot of fun.
I saw that on your website, and I noticed that your logo looks a little bit like David Bowie. Little influence there. Your hi-fi thing
Um,
with the lightning
oh,
bolt.
that's so.
A dog with a lightning bolt. I
Yeah,
assumed that was a David Bowie reference. So
it wasn't. What was so funny was my team had asked me to go and find the things, the top three things that people would say about me, like descriptors.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody kept saying over and over again, I guess the one piece of feedback we were getting was, she's like lightning. She's like lightning. Like she strikes. It's like, pow. And then she's there. And then you know it. And I was like,
and then everything's on fire.
Yeah, exactly. And I thought, I don't know if that's a compliment, but I'll take it. Sure.
No,
so we
dynamic,
went with
I get it. Electrifying. That's all
yeah,
good.
so we went with the lightning bolt, and then the Heroes project came up, and then we went David Bowie. Oh my gosh, it's really lining up, and so on and so forth. So that lightning bolt really had more to do with, I think, character than that. But to be fair, though, I was contacted by the president of the official David Bowie fan club of North America, and she said that Bowie had a similar, like the lightning bolt had a similar meaning is the wrong word, but it had a similar space for him as well. And so I thought, oh, I didn't know that. So I thought, oh, that's
a compliment.
Nice.
I thought they were calling you to tell you couldn't use it. So that's
good.
They didn't. So, oh my God,
some army of lawyers. Exactly.
Well, that's good. Well, I took from that. So, maybe Bowie is her biggest influence, and maybe that's not true. I mean, he's great and love him and have a lot of his records, but is he a big influence, or do you have other people that first got you into loving music? And
so my first big like record on repeat nonstop, wore the record out, was Burl Ives' The Little White Duck.
Okay, we're going back a long time.
Yeah, that is a journey in the Wayback Machine.
That was not exactly a high end audio system, I'm guessing, but
no, it was just a suitcase record player.
Tiny one of those things. Yeah, I had one of those too.
Yeah, but that was my first, like, when I got old enough to get the record by myself and put it on. My parents were going to ship me off to the circus because they thought, if we have to hear Burl Ives one more time, we're going to just dig a hole and jump in it. But then really after that, my biggest, I think, and most pronounced influence that a lot of people say in my songwriting is Billy Joel, really. But then I sort of, as I expanded from that into more progressive stuff, I mean, I have a lot of different influences that are just all over the place. I mean, Billy Cobham, King Crimson, Dream Theater, King's X, Alanis Morissette, Chaka Khan. I mean, I'm sort of everywhere. So
you're primarily a keyboardist and a singer. I don't know if you
yeah.
do other instruments, or keyboard is pretty much.
I am really terrible at guitar. Like, if you would like to never sell a song that you've recorded, you can hire me to play guitar, and I'll make sure that song doesn't see the light of day. I'm so bad at guitar. But I play, in terms of keyboards, I mean, piano, obviously, Hammond organ, guitar. I've been hired out to do guitar for some larger
I've seen a lot of stuff with you with the guitar.
Yeah, so that's big.
Which is an instrument you don't see around as much these days as you used to, I guess. But
right.
Almost a nostalgia thing for some people. But
yeah, but for me,
to be able to move around and stage.
Yes. And for me, guitar is like vinyl. When people go, "Oh, it's back," I go, "No, it never left." Like, it's always been here. So yeah, so guitar has become, I think it's the thing between guitar and Hammond organ. Those are the two things I'm equally known for, keyboard wise. Then I'm working on a really funny comedy series called Godmother that I'm the composer for. And I did a few feature films. And then, like you said, directing the human side, the documentary short film, and now gearing up to do the feature film version of the human side. So there is a longer version of that that's coming out.
Wow. The first one was a short, like 20 minutes or
27, I think it was. Yeah.
So now you're going to turn that into something.
This is going to be
a couple hours or an hour and a half or something.
Probably about an hour and a half. I think we're looking around the 100-minute mark, give or take.
Similar, some of the same footage, or all new?
So some of the same footage, but not in the same way. Like, they're going to be hearkening back to things. Part of the documentary is talking about how the documentary short spurred on the documentary feature. So we are going to have some
documentary about the making of the documentary.
Exactly. It's very meta. We're going to have some little clips like that. But by and large, the story arc of the new human side is going to be, I think, much more involved. And it's going to tell the bigger story of hi-fi and the bigger story of the human experience in hi-fi, and also touch upon the things that I'm constantly going on about, which are how the elevated listening experience is more than just a hobby, how it is actually critical to the development of people neurologically, physiologically, chemically, educationally, spiritually. So there's a lot that we're going to cover. And my intention is that it's going to be something, there's going to be something in there for people of all ages and through all stops along the journey.
Well, the reference to sort of science and psychology and brain development, very interested in that. As an amateur, I have a degree in psychology, but that doesn't mean I'm an expert on anything. But there's research that says listening to stuff with high distortion is bad for you, and we don't know what level of distortion is going to add a lot of stress to your life. That's something that I think a lot of people have no idea, that listening to bad sounding stuff actually is not really good for your brain.
Right.
There's probably very little research on that.
There's a fair amount.
We kind of feel it, even if we don't know it. We feel it.
I'll tell you, there's a fair amount of research done on distortion and frequency when it comes to stroke survivors, brain trauma patients, and people with vertigo, because they're sensitive to sound and light in a very particular way. And so that's one area where we found a lot of, I say a lot, but I mean more than you'd find in other, comparatively speaking, right? It's a lot. So we have found quite a bit of research on that.
That's interesting. I have someone in my family with vertigo. And we were at a restaurant a few weeks ago, and the sound system was making this person lose their stuff. And I'm like,
yes,
it sounds bad, but I can deal with this.
Right.
So
Right.
all these little things about the audio environment that we're just beginning to understand,
Yeah.
I would love to delve into more of that research and maybe talk to some of those researchers someday. The other aspect that interests me, I don't know if anybody else, but this idea that there's a set of frequencies above what a CD can play
Mm-hmm.
back,
Right.
that people say, well, we can't hear it, so it doesn't matter, throw it away. And in fact, vinyl listeners who have a system that can play back to 25 and 30 kilohertz,
Right.
there's a lot there that we don't understand how the body processes it, even if you don't hear it in your ears. Are you familiar with this?
Right.
Any of this research?
I am, and some of that, I've studied a lot of, again, on a very amateur level. Some of it is for the documentary, and some of it is for some other things that I've been working on. But from a brain development standpoint, from body chemistry, from cell regeneration to dendrites in the brain. I mean, there's all sorts of, the human body, if you really think about it, is most susceptible to sound waves and to sound frequency because we're mostly water or liquid, right? So because of things like that, and because of how and while sound itself doesn't travel underwater, which we have figured out, waves, if you think about it, the tide,
Mm-hmm.
any sort of sound waves, any sort of vibration, everything is a wave. Everything is a particle wave, a sine wave, a this wave, a that wave, whatever it is, it's a wave. And so I'm not so quick to dismiss just because you can't hear something, it doesn't mean that it's not there. I mean, for a long time, people thought the earth was flat because they couldn't see that it was round, because as they walked, they didn't sort of go around in a circle. So I think a key here would be to look at maybe entertaining certain notions with, yes, you take with a grain of salt, okay, but remain open to the fact that things are disproved and proved and discovered and buried every day. So,
Yeah, this whole how does the body process high frequencies and ultra low frequencies?
yeah.
Michael Fremer did an article on the high frequency research years ago.
Mhm.
I tried to read some of the technical papers. They're a little too technical, but people need to keep an open mind. Just
Yeah.
because I heard this, blah blah blah, there's so much more, and you know. The effect of what people's minds and bodies go through when they're hearing
Sure.
great music on a great system.
Right.
I guess what we're saying is hi-fi could actually save the world if we got enough people into it, right?
I would say, I mean,
Almost
I would love to say hi-fi can save the world. What I would say is, I mean, music definitely brings
bits and
people
pieces of it,
together,
right?
for sure. But I think hi-fi is a lot more valuable than people are giving it credit for.
Right.
People joke a lot about, oh, high-end audio is a rich man's hobby, and this is an elective hobby, and ha ha ha, and whatever. And I say, well, wait a minute though. Music therapy is a real thing, and people use music to do all sorts of developmental training and healing and recuperation and break people of addictions and all sorts of things. Music has the ability to reach us in ways that so many other forms of art might stop a little short, right? Music is the only thing that neurologists have said, when the brain hears music, all of the senses fire together simultaneously. Whether you like it or not, they just do. So, okay, hi-fi is probably a lot more vital and valuable than we're allowing ourselves to understand. And so this we want at the show, I mean, my personal mission is gently being infused into the show's mission, which is really to offer people the opportunity to have a deeper experience and to really personalize what that might mean for them. If they want to take it away as just, it's a hobby and that's great, and I meet cool people and, experience great systems and I go home and upgrade my own stuff, cool, no problem. If you come in and you're like, I'm blown away, I've never heard music like this, and it's really making me think about life, great. Or if you come in with somebody that has a muscular issue or a neurological issue and wow, this really calmed them down, I'm going to talk to some doctors. Great. But all experiences are on the table here. And, you know, we want to keep those doors open, and we want to keep that dialogue happening actively for everyone in the community.
Well, it's bigger than just a hi-fi show when you talk about it in those terms. It's
Sure
more
is.
than just a bunch of folks with some fancy wires and boxes in a hotel room. So there's a lot more to it.
Yeah.
I think it's about time to wrap up, since we've gone nearly an hour and we've got more to do today. So everybody, I've thrown in links below the video to how to get to the homeentertainmentshow.com, also known as The Show, and your website also, if you want to check out your music and other projects that you're working on. So I think that about covers it. So thank you very much, Emiko, for joining us, and looking forward to, we'll see you at the show for sure.
Oh, yes, it's my pleasure. Thank you for having me on today. And I'm so grateful for all that you do for the community. And we're looking forward to seeing you in June.
Excellent. Sure. All right. We're signing off. So thanks a lot, everybody.